It's great to know that you're still there. And of course, we're moving straight to our first discussion segment on the program this morning. Now we are looking at Senate approval of 10 billion naira refund ahead of Kogi elections. A quite interesting time. You would know, as a matter of fact, that campaign fund, even for any aspirant in the country, has to be stipulated within a certain amount of money. A lot of suggestions have been brought up as to this very development. A lot of questions, a lot of suspicious kind of mood here in terms of this refund at the time where the state is preparing for elections itself. In as much as this approval might have meant well, a number of Nigerians believe that it could be tilted towards something else, especially as the state is looking forward to preparing for elections. And we are hoping, as a matter of fact, that what the people are saying out there about the National Assembly being more or less like a rubber stamp will not be the true case of things at the end of the day. To look at this development with us this morning is the person of Dr. Bayo Busari. He is a public political scientist. It's great to have you on this platform again. Good morning.
It's good to have you here this beautiful morning.
It's my pleasure.
One particular thing that people have been talking about is, yes, it's good to refund this, but the timing. So what are your thoughts on the timing of this particular loan refund?
When we talk about timing, the question that will come up is it right, is it wrong? I think that would be the question. Of course, you cannot give an answer that will satisfy both sides of the divide. If you say it's right, we'll base it on the fact that the payment is a legitimate payment. The federal government holds Kogi state government a certain amount of money, and probably at the time that the federal government felt that it's in a position to pay back, it decides to do that. If you say it is wrong, I might look at it from the perspective that election is just around the corner. It's even here, and probably that money can be used for electoral purpose. But if you say that, the question that will follow again is Kogi state government broke? That will require it looking for money somewhere else. If government is not broke, I think we should begin to look at it from the perspective of the fact that the National Assembly is empowered to make laws, to make certain pronouncements, to give approval as may be requested by the executive.
But you will recall that there is an issue of this trader money during the last election when people were receiving this money around the state, and there were speculations that why should it be at that point in time that we will be collecting such money?
Well, I think what we ought to have done after the election probably would have been to go back and then carry out a study to see to what extent the trader money as it was then influenced the outcome of the general election that we had this year. If we have not done that, I think we should take it that government is an activity. There's no particular time that is set aside. That is what government must do, and this is what it cannot do. Okay? Me, I'm for a situation, the constitution empowers a governor, a president, even the local government chairman, to work within a certain allotted time, tenure of office, which means from the day you are sworn in up to your last minute in office, you are running a government. So whatever that you do within the ambit of the law is legitimate. So we ought to have gone back to see if that trader money influenced. Then we can begin to discuss whether such should happen again or not.
Let's look at the antecedent of the National Assembly. What really is the antecedent for refunding this particular money at a time that the elections is heated up? Let's not forget that there have been violence in this state, and we've been seeing accusations and counter accusations. Shouldn't we see a National Assembly who is more concerned about the security of the state ahead of the elections, instead of saying that we are refunding about 10 billion naira here? That's a whole lot. What is really their intention?
Now, if you want to lay blame, I think we should lay it at the right doorstep. We should lay it at the doorsteps of our politicians. The National Assembly is carrying out a legitimate function, and we cannot query it on how it carries out its function, insofar as it is done within the limit of the law. Okay? There was a letter from the presidency requesting for approval to refund 10 billion naira to Kogi State. A letter from the presidency, a request, which is within the purview of the National Assembly to grant. It was granted within its purview of authority. Okay? But if you are talking of violence in Kogi State, who is responsible for the violence? It's the politicians. So we should rather direct our attention towards them. Now, you look at the situation. This morning, the PDP said it doesn't have trust in a police officer that was sent to Kogi State. Okay? Peradventure, if it was PDP that is in government in Kogi, and a police officer is sent, I'm very sure APC will have said the same thing.
But what is the intention of the president? Because if you say that the political leadership is really the problem of the cause of the crisis in Kogi State, are we saying that the president is immune of all of this process, or he's not aware that there is pocket of violence? A lot of people would have expected the National Assembly to have been talking about how that state will be secured, how to ensure that people are not disenfranchised here, that people actually do not have voters' apathy at the end of the day, that they've come out to vote. When you have instances of this going on within the state, and key authorities like the National Assembly, the president, they are not making categorical statements, then where are we heading to?
I think if you are expecting either the presidency or the National Assembly to make categorical statements on the Kogi election, we might be talking of bias. I think the security agencies have done their bit, and we should wait.
How does it become a bias?
Yeah,
because let's not forget that the president is the commander-in-chief here. Whatever happens, he is not contesting in this election. He's a state under him.
Let's go to Osun State. During the governorship election in Osun State, everybody was crying that Osun was being militarized by the volume of security agencies that was deployed to that state during that election. So now we are having another scenario in Kogi. We have another one in Bayelsa. Okay. Now I'm for a situation whereby we demilitarized our electoral process.
Is it about militarization?
When we have states that are flashpoints that are actually prone to violence.
When you say flashpoint, let's still go back. You see, if we want to really address the problem that we have to begin to clearly identify the problem. Okay? I will still say, and I will insist, that all that we have, you can't take it away from our politicians across all the political parties. Okay? If you have violence, who is responsible for it? Okay? If there is no election, did we have violence in Kogi before now? It's because election has become a do or die affair. That's the problem. No matter the amount of security agencies that you deploy to a state.
Are we talking about just security?
She talked about peace accord. They've signed peace accord now. Okay. But if there is a categorical statement from the president, that will actually caution those politicians.
What kind of statement do we expect the president to make? That whoever wins, if there is an election, will not be
decided. During the general election, we had the president come out, say something that actually cautioned the politicians and made the headlines.
They will be cautioned to the extent that they want to be. Okay? Now, if we are not looking at a situation that we want to win at all costs, there's no need for anybody to make any pronouncement. There's no need for it. But we want to win at all costs. That's a problem. And that is because we are not asking our politicians the right kind of questions. We are not querying them. We are not telling them. I think last week or thereabout, there was a monarch in Kogi State that said that whoever that brought violence to his domain will not live to see the end of next year. Okay, I expect, though you might want to say it is crude, but I expect people across board to come out and say the same thing. So when you begin to tell the politician that you are not allowing them to bring violence to your area, then they will begin to caution themselves. Whether you have policemen or you don't have policemen.
You know, I still come down to the issue of the National Assembly and the executive here. they can play a fatherly role. Don't you think so?
They
the
can.
mediation process, because it appears that you have said that the political parties, those that want to contest in these elections, have seen it as more or less like a do or die thing. How can they come in to douse the tension if they do not have interest?
Now,
Don't you think they have interest in the process? That is why they are not cautioning. That is why they are not playing any mediating role. And of course, the president playing a fatherly role here and calling them to question.
If you say they have an interest, of course they have, in the sense that the democracy we are running is based on political party arrangement, and at whatever level,
at the expense of the lives
just hold on.
of ordinary Nigerians.
Hold on. You see, they do politics everywhere, somewhere else. They vote. Is it the way we vote here? No, it's not. Okay. Now the issue, what I'm trying to say is that all of them are interested parties. Okay. The president belongs to APC. APC is standing for election for this state. Whatever the president says will be seen as being treated towards his party. Okay, whatever he did not say will still be seen as you begin to interpret. But what we should begin to look at is the intention, okay, behind it. Number one. Number two is we should begin to discuss as Nigerians, as a people that are governed by some elements. We should begin to discuss the way we want to be governed. All right. In Rivers,
is there a climb for that? Is the climb actually, is the atmosphere okay for people to discuss that?
Yeah,
people who are already scared of even coming out, I can tell you as a matter of fact that already there will be voter apathy in a way. If I want to be a little bit pessimistic here, a lot of people in Kogi State and Bayelsa State will prefer to stay indoor rather than coming out to actually vote.
Very good.
When we have instances like this, where is the atmosphere for the people to come down and say that this is what we want in governance, when
good.
The structure is not even allowed?
If you don't want to stay indoor, we can make it happen. We don't have to wait until the election time before we begin to talk. Okay? We don't have to allow our politicians to begin to set the agenda for what we say. We should rather be the ones to set the agenda.
How do they set these agendas? Because I would have expected security personnel to have flooded the place by now. Why do people say that, oh, we have so many things on ground? That will give them the confidence to actually come out and exercise their franchise.
Yes, they are on ground. But I said the other time, I said, I'm looking at a situation whereby we begin to de-emphasize a lot of security men, being around when we vote. Ordinarily, election voting should be a routine affair. I'm going to work, I branch at my polling booth, cast my vote, and go to my work. That's the way elections are run in civilized societies. But we have not gotten there here. Rather, simply because now we are concentrating on building individuals rather than building institutions. If we are building institutions, then the system will work. But we are rather concentrating on individuals, and the people are encouraging them.
How? We are in the era of hate speech and the clamp down on the social media, meaning that people cannot afford to.
No, I don't believe.
Of course, this is what is happening. Are you not a Nigerian?
No, excuse me.
Are you not a Nigerian? Haven't you seen the government paying key attention, and of course the National Assembly now debating a bill on hate speech? When you have instances like this, where does the people's voice come in?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Now, what we call hate speech, is that a definition? Okay, the law is not being made for you and I not to talk. And I think, as responsible citizens, we should be interested in what would drive our country forward. Not are
the political juggernauts, are the political bigwigs, do they understand the language you're speaking?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that if we keep quiet, those who call political juggernauts will do what pleases them. If we keep quiet.
You said if we keep quiet, but oftentimes there is actually a thin line between constructive criticisms and what you will call a speech. And so where is the demarcation? Are the people not even afraid to talk and speak out?
Now, what I think the way we are seeing it is this. We believe that if the law is made, the court will toe the line of the lawmakers. That's our thinking. Okay? And I think we have seen a situation, let's go back to 1985 or thereabout, when the Court of Appeal made a ruling, made a pronouncement that has thrown section 373 of the Defamation of Character Act, 1950 whatever, when the civilian colonials were here, that said that we don't have to begin to tie ourselves again to the apron strings of our colonialists. We cannot be, governing ourselves with laws that were made by people who are not among us.
So we need new laws.
So what we are saying in essence is this: even when we had that law, how many people were thrown into jail? How many? So laws are made to have as
but are these pressing needs? Are
there,
these pressing needs at this point in time?
Yeah. Okay. When do we need it? Okay. Now it is an evolutionary stage. Now you talk about the
imperialist mentality, the military mentality. Can the laws cure it?
The law cannot cure.
That's the question here.
The law cannot.
Don't we have enough laws that are punitive enough?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Now you ask the question: don't we have enough laws? If you have laws, the law is there to act as a check on you and I. Now let's see this scenario. You drive along the road. The law says you cannot drive against the traffic, and you know that. Then, because we are conscious that if you drive against the traffic and you are caught, you'll be punished. So you caution yourself. But if the law is not there, what do? If no one is going to stop you, no one is going to check you, what do? Then everybody behaves.
Are you saying we don't have laws in this country?
I'm not saying we don't have, but because we have does not mean we should stop making further laws.
Have we respected the ones that we have? That is why I talk about the military mentality and the imperialist mentality. Have we cured ourselves of that?
That is why I said we are not building institutions yet. We are concentrating on individuals. When we begin to build institutions, you don't mind whether it's party A or party B that is the government. What matters is continuity of government. Now, a road is being constructed, and the government that is constructing it could not finish before the expiration of his tenure. Another government comes and says, no, I'm not interested in that road because it's not in my program.
It's quite interesting that you talked about building institutions and not individual. Let's go to our major institutions, anti-graft agencies. Let's talk about the EFCC and some other institutions we are supposed to ensure checks and balances. What is their financial autonomy like? Now we are seeing a National Assembly refunding 10 billion naira to a state that is preparing for an election. Legitimately, as a case may be. You might say it's legitimate, but if you look at an institution like our anti-graft agencies, let me not pick points, a certain one here. Our anti-graft agencies, shouldn't they look at some of the queries people are already raising to say that, why are you releasing this money at this point in time if these institutions are well built? So if you now talk about the issue of financial autonomy of some of these institutions, are we there yet? And how can we build them for checks and balances? You have said it's legitimate for the National Assembly to release this money. How legitimate? That's the question our anti-graft agencies need to help us answer by doing a thorough investigation. What was the motive of this?
I think we'll be going pedestal when we ask the anti-graft agency to begin to look at
how pedestal can we be?
Excuse me.
Okay.
To begin to look at you being owed and you being paid what you are owed.
So why this time?
No, excuse me. The timing. What is wrong with the timing?
Elections are here. So, and we know how politicians are. You are in Nigeria. You saw what happened in Russia and for instance.
The minority leader said the process was not actually indicated in the order paper.
That is the issue now. That what should be discussing, not the release of the fund. I said there was a letter from the presidency. It wasn't in the Senate.
So is that not enough to investigate?
Excuse me. I said that was what we should be discussing. The process. Okay? You can do what is right wrongly, and you can do what is wrong rightly. Depends on the station.
Okay, so you feel it's not suspicious enough to be investigated?
Excuse me. If you want to investigate, what do you want to investigate? That the money was hold Kogi State.
Well, it was
the process
because they could have. It was not in the order paper even for the day.
If it was not in the order paper, now the Senate president overruled the minority leader who said it was not on the order paper. Okay, that's an issue. Okay, but the question is the money. I think recently there was a refund to Oyo State too. No one talked about that.
Oyo is not preparing for an election.
Okay, so why are we not
Kogi is it's just like 2 days or 3 days to the election.
It does not.
Given the antecedent of our politicians,
what is the antecedent?
We know, you know, as a Nigerian of
there's this school of thought that we are not having a rubber stamp National Assembly, that whatever comes from the presidency, the stamp it without even actually.
What do we expect from the National Assembly? Whatever that comes from the
presidency,
there
should be a little bit of cross-examination and them doing their job, checks and balances.
No, excuse me. We are reading a lot of suspicion, and we expect a situation whereby you have a kind of a cat and mouse relation between the presidency and the National Assembly.
That is not the point. It's following protocol.
Excuse me. Look at the last 4 years. Every one of us was crying that the National Assembly that we had at that time slowed down the government. That was our complaint. Now we are complaining again that this one is a rubber stamp. Where do we stand?
So let's also,
now the issue is this.
Before you move ahead on this, you talked about the National Assembly doing its job, and of course, as a matter of fact, we know that the two heads in the National Assembly, talking about the executive, the leadership here, are APC members, which is obvious, and a lot of people are already reading meanings to all of this. We saw
what do you expect them to be? Do you expect them to be?
Let me go ahead. Let me drop my question here. We saw a situation where the aides of the vice president was whittled down, and the National Assembly did not bother to look at some of these instances, even when the president just said to us that is to cut the cost of governance. But there was no investigations. Look at the hate speech bill. The National Assembly is ready to resuscitate it and discuss it. Now we are having a kind of refund, without being on the other paper, like being pointed out, like Anu said just now. When we have all of these instances put together, you feel that this National Assembly do not have the responsibility to dig further, to say, why do we have to do this? And of course, the anti-graft agencies will just keep quiet and watch. You said so many things, and you talked about building institutions. How do we build institutions when we have all of this playing out, and we are Nigerians, we're watching? Is it the same thing that happens elsewhere in the world?
Well, you ended by saying, is it the same thing that happens everywhere in the world? Is it the same set of mindset that we have here that is have in other parts of the world?
So how you say we do not have genuine mindset
we
here?
Don't have. You and I don't have. Everybody, majority of Nigerians do not have. That's the reality of the situation. We don't discuss about this country. We discuss about ourselves. That's the issue. The mindset that people have out there is not the same thing that we have.
But where does the masses stand in all of this?
Where does what?
The masses. Because you keep talking about the people.
The masses is part of the problem that we have in the country. You and I are part of the problem.
How?
Good. Now, we want to discuss. Is either you begin to look at from the issue of political perspective. If you don't do that, you look at the ethnic perspective. You don't do that, you do that religious perspective. We don't come to the table to discuss what do you bring, what is the merit.
So how does the people cause it? Did the people ask for zoning?
They don't vote?
No. Let's look at the political party structure.
Okay.
Look at some political party believe in zoning to geopolitical zone. How does the people really come in here to say that it must go to the southeast? Because you are looking at religious sentiment, ethnicity, and the rest of it. But if you look at the kind of politics being practiced, is a politics of ethnicity and of course political interest. In terms of zoning, we've seen some political parties in this country that says that if it goes to the northeast, for instance, to the north, it must come to the southwest at a point in time. When we have instances like this within the political structure of the country, how would we blame the people who just go there to vote?
Personally, I don't believe in zoning. I don't believe. I've never believed in it.
Do we blame the people for that?
No, excuse me. I don't believe in it. Why do I say that? We are a country, and I think what we should be discussing, if we need a leadership, is what is the best that we can scout.
Is that the way our politicians think? Because you are blaming the people here.
Look, when you leave everything to the politicians, I've said it, they will do it the way it will please them. Okay?
Are they not the one making decisions? Is it the people that make decisions?
Are we not the ones putting them there?
You talked about we the one putting them there, but in cases of violence and all sorts that we see, how many times do they even do we not have apathy and all of this?
Look. If someone knocks on your door in the middle of the night and he introduces himself as an armed robber, and tells you that if you don't open your door in the next 1 minute, this and that is going to happen, and you begin to panic, what will happen? You go and open the door for him. But if you summon courage and say, okay, wait for me, I'm coming, and we'll fight it out, you begin to, have a rethink that whether you are more harm than it is. Okay? Now, when you are talking about violence, why do they bring up violence? Because they want to perpetuate an act, and they don't want you to be around. And when you stay away, you allow them to do what they want to do.
So in the face of violence and insecurity, they should go out.
In the face of violence, individual to individual. Okay? The Yoruba will say that, let me just put it literally, that cannot die can never become leader of his heritage. So I said it that if you allow politicians to have their way, they do it the way they want to do it.
But should we not put machineries on ground to ensure that people's lives are protected, that people can actually go about their lawful?
Now let's say this. Saturday, election in Kogi, you can quote me. Election in Kogi will come and go. It's an hype.
Then will it be peaceful?
It will be peaceful.
And this is what we should be talking about.
I said you can quote me. I'm telling you, election in Kogi will be peaceful. It's an hype. The thing will go down. When politicians are not allowed to have their way, you can't have violence.
How do we monitor the reforms? How do we monitor this refund that has been done by the National Assembly and approved?
Oh, fantastic.
How do we monitor that it goes towards the right channel?
Fantastic.
Because a lot of suspicions have been raised.
No, you have an act, and that's the Freedom of Information Act, which empowers every Nigerian to seek for information, and it is incumbent.
How accessible is it?
It is.
All this information.
It is. Serap has done it several times, and I think you can do it. Okay? The law empowers you to make a request, and it is incumbent on the custodian of what you are asking for.
It's interesting that you said that the law has empowered us as a journalist, as men of the pen profession, to ask for
not
this thing.
Not journalists alone, every Nigerian.
Every civic responsibility of every Nigerians to do that.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, is it the case? Why I ask this question is that why do we have journalists who decided to go underground to get information? No. If it's easy to have access to this information, why do we have them bury themselves to an extent that they needed to get this information? Sometimes they turn themselves into cleaners in order for them to have access to this information. And when they release this information to the public, they go underground. If the freedom of information is working, as we are discussing this morning, why do we have to have undercover journalists who will go all their life, risk their life in order to get an information that is supposed to be public gazette? If you look at all of these instances, is it not just the paperwork? The Freedom of Information Act, is it really obtainable? Is it something that is working out?
If you are carrying out an investigation, you can employ any legitimate means to do that, to get what you want. But I expect a situation where someone will come forward and say that he approaches a government or agency or whatever under the power of FOA, and he was denied. And he went to court, and the court ruled otherwise. I'm still waiting for someone to come out and say that. We don't do it. Okay? The extent that a law works depends on how you put it to
does the court system even encourage you?
It does.
Looking at level of adjournment we've been having. Somebody who is trying to get an information now, maybe that information needs to be urgently divulged in order for this person to go about one or two things. And all this information is hidden. Then you go through the court process and you are not even sure if you will. Cases have been truncated, where instances of frivolous ex parte injunctions have been given, and people who had gone to court with the intention of getting justice become in a way disappointed. Is it encouraging for you to say, okay, because I need to get this information, I need to go to court to fight it? You have to pay a lawyer to get all of these things done. Should it be the case?
Now, there's no way you will not incur costs. Where you want
for something that is supposed to be free.
There's no.
Freedom of Information Act is supposed to be free.
No, excuse me. You want to seek for information that is free. When you are denied, the law stipulates that you approach it.
Why should we even be denied in the first place?
No, excuse me. The law has anticipated that it could happen if you are denied, and then there's a provision for you to seek redress, okay, to address your denial. I mean, it has that scenario has been taken care of. If there is no provision for you, that if you are denied, you are denied. That's all. You can begin to complain. But the law says that if you are denied, you can approach a court, and you have said it's a process. If it's done the way I want it, there might be a miscarriage of justice. Okay, so it is a process, and once you say something is a process, you take one before you go to two.
So let's go. Still talking about Kogi State. What are your expectations from the Kogi State election that will take place on Saturday?
Well, my expectation is that definitely we will have that election. Definitely, some political parties will not feel satisfied, and there will be litigation, as is peculiar with us. Okay, but I of the view that we are on a journey, and it's a process. And when you are
will we get to our destination? When will we get to our destination?
Come across a lot of challenges. There are some that we put behind us. One, you see the impeachment of the former governor of Oyo State, Senator Rashidi Ladoja. No one can now impeach any governor anyhow. That's one of the processes that we have put behind us. Okay,
because there we have to go.
The same Kogi State.
Yes,
there was a governorship candidate that died before the election was announced. The result was announced. We've taken care of that.
Dr. Bayo Busari, we have to go. But what this funding that has been released now, how can this system monitor it? What are the monitoring mechanisms to ensure that it gets to the right people it's supposed to get to?
We have agencies, and I think Serap is doing a good job in that area. I'm sure that some agencies will be, especially non-governmental agencies, will be taking interest in
no government agencies should be involved in all of this. Of course,
no government agency will do that, because the government that will spend the money. So
we must say thank you so much to Dr. Bayo Busari. He is a political scientist, and of course, we've been looking at Senate approval of 10 billion naira refund ahead of Kogi elections. Thank you so much for being here. I will hope that the funds will be channeled towards the right sources itself. We'll take this break. When we come back, it will be another topic and another guest. Please stay with us.